Hello dear students of class 9. We are on the fourth chapter from your supplementary reader, and the story is titled as In the Kingdom of Fools. This story has been written by A.K. Ramanujan, and it is a part of the Kannada folk tales. Well, what does the story want to teach us? Let us see. It is believed that fools are so dangerous that only very wise people can manage them. Who are the fools in the story? What happens to them? Well, let us see what the story tells us. That the fools are dangerous, and the wise people are the ones who can manage fools. Well, here is the story of the kingdom of fools. In the kingdom of fools, both the king and the minister were idiots. There were two idiots who were ruling the country. So in that kingdom, the king and the minister were both idiots. They didn't want to run things like other kings, so they decided to change night into day and day into night. That's really funny. Well, because they wanted to be different from other kings, what did they decide? That they would change the night into day and day into night. They ordered that everyone should be awake at night, till their fields and run their businesses only after dark, and go to bed as soon as the sun came up. Now definitely they are fools. You can see that everyone should do his business, and the till their fields means do farming, tilling fields, that is do farming and go about their business only after dark, and as soon as the sun comes up they should go to bed. Anyone who disobeyed would be punished with death. So anyone who disobeyed this rule, he would be punished with death. Now you can imagine how people must have felt like, and how they must have behaved. The people did as they were told for fear of death. Now they were so afraid that they would be put to death that they had to treat the day and night as the king and his minister wanted them to. The king and the minister were delighted at the success of their project. Oh, they were so proud of themselves that their project has become a success. One day a guru and his disciple arrived in the city. It was a beautiful city. It was broad daylight, but there was no one about. So there was a guru or a sadhu kind of a person, and they were traveling, and he had a disciple, that is his follower. And they were traveling, and they arrived in that beautiful city. It was broad daylight, but there was no one about. So though nobody was about in broad daylight, everyone was asleep. Not a mouse stirring. Even the cattle had been taught to sleep by day. Even the cattle were sleeping by day. The two strangers were amazed by what they saw around them, and wandered around town till evening, when suddenly the whole town woke up and went about its nightly business. So at night they would have their business. So in the evening time, then suddenly the whole town woke up. The whole day everybody was sleeping, and to their surprise they saw that everybody is waking up in the evening, and now they are going about the business. The two men were hungry. Now the shops were open. They went to buy some groceries. To their astonishment, they found that everything cost the same, a single daddu. A single daddu, that's the money that they were using, that everything's cost was the same, one daddu. Whether they bought a measure of rice or a bunch of bananas, it cost a daddu. The guru and his disciple were delighted. Oh, everything is the same price. They had never heard of anything like this. They could buy all the food they wanted for a rupee. So just for a rupee they could buy everything that they wanted just for a rupee. When they had cooked and eaten, the guru realized that this was a kingdom of fools, and it wouldn't be a good idea for them to stay there. Now the guru realized what was going on, and he thought that this was a kingdom of fools, and it was not good to stay in the kingdom of fools. This is no place for us. Let's go, he said to his disciple. So he told his follower, he said, let's go, this is not a place for us. But the disciple didn't want to leave the place. Everything was cheap here. All he wanted was good, cheap food. The guru said, they are all fools. This won't last very long, and you can't tell what they'll do to you next, because this is a kingdom of fools. This is not going to last very long, and you never know what is going to happen to you next. But the disciple wouldn't listen to the Guru's wisdom. He wanted to stay. The Guru finally gave up and said, "Do what you want, I'm going," and left. The disciple stayed on, ate his fill every day, bananas and ghee and rice and wheat, and grew fat like a street side sacred bull. So he would eat and eat and eat. He had never had anything so cheap. And so he would have bananas and ghee and rice and wheat. These are all things that make you fat. So he ate all those things and he became as fat as a sacred bull. A sacred bull is the bull that is becoming ready to be sacrificed for gods and goddesses. That's a sacred bull. One bright day, a thief broke into a rich merchant's house. He had made a hole in the wall and sneaked in, and he was carrying out his loot. The wall of the old house collapsed on his head and killed him on the spot. His brother ran to the king and complained, "Your Highness, when my brother was pursuing his ancient trade, a wall fell on him and killed him." Well, there was a thief, and he went into a rich merchant's house, and he made a hole in the wall, and he was quietly sneaking in, and he was carrying out his loot when suddenly the wall collapsed. It was an old house, and on his head, and he died. And when his brother went to the king, and he said he was pursuing his ancient trade. His ancient trade was looting others. He said when the wall fell on him and killed him. This merchant is to blame. He should have built a good, strong wall. You must punish the wrongdoer and compensate the family for this injustice. So he said, you must punish the family. This is injustice, and the wrongdoer. Who's the wrongdoer? The family on whose the house wall has fallen on my brother's head, although he was a thief actually. So he said when he died, he said it is the family should compensate for this injustice. The king said, "Justice will be done, don't worry," and he at once summoned the owner of the house. When the merchant arrived, the king questioned him, "What's your name?" "Such and such, your highness." "Were you at home when the dead man burgled your house?" Well, even the king knows that the man was a burglar, or a thief. He said, "Were you at home?" "Yes, my lord. He broke in and the wall was weak. It fell on him." The accused pleads guilty. "Your wall killed this man's brother. You have murdered a man. We have to punish you." Now he's saying, you have murdered a man. You have pleaded guilty. He's saying, so we will have to punish you. "Lord," said the helpless merchant, "I didn't put up the wall. It's really the fault of the man who built the house. He didn't build it right. You should punish him." So now the merchant is saying, it is not my fault. Actually, it is the man who built the house. He did not build it right. So it is he should be punished. "Who's that?" "My lord, this wall was built in my father's time. I know the man. He's an old man now. He lives nearby." The king sent out messengers to bring in the bricklayer who had built the house. They brought him tied hand and foot. Now the poor old man, it was during this merchant's father's time that the house was built. It was quite an old house. And now that man he was an old man, the bricklayer who had built the house, he was brought in, tied up, hand and foot. "You there, did you build the man's wall in his father's time?" "Yes, my lord, I did." "What kind of a wall is that you built?" "It has fallen on a poor man and killed him." "You've murdered him. We have to punish you by death." So now the king says, we have to punish you by death. Now you will be punished to death. Now we will continue this story in the next class, children. Thank you. Goodbye.